So, what do you think goes on in the press box during a broadcast? I mean, when I'm not actually calling the game. You probably think I'm sitting there and poring over my notes and my stats in preparation for the game. Heck no! I'm talking with the press box crew about McDonald's Shamrock Shakes. I know, real professional, but and now everyone's going, well, geez, now I know why this guy sucks so much. Well, that's what went down Wednesday. I was over at Embry-Riddle during their softball doubleheader with Benedictine Mason. Since it was a couple days after St. Patrick's Day, everyone seemed to have a hankering for a Shamrock Shake. And lo and behold, we learned that McDonald's was still selling Shamrock Shakes for the rest of the week. So good old Phil Hess, Embry-Riddle's athletic director, who, by the way, we had on the show last week. And if you missed it, you can check it out on our YouTube channel, KYCA Digital, or you can go to kyca.info, click on Archive, and you will find past Tri-City Sports Roundup episodes there. Anyway, Phil headed over to McDonald's and got us all Shamrock Shakes. And been a long time since I had one of those, and man, I forgot how good they were, and somehow that triggered a nostalgic memory in me. And any of you out there who grew up in New Jersey or New York or Connecticut in the 70s or the 80s, well, you'll know what I'm talking about here. I started thinking of those old Carvel ice cream stores because they had these character ice cream cakes called Cookie Puss and Fudgy the Whale. And for St. Patrick's Day, it became Cookie Opus. So I'm telling all this to Eric Fundalevich, Riddle's assistant athletic director, and saying, what could be more St. Patrick's Day-ish than having a Shamrock Shake and a slice of Cookie Opus ice cream cake? And he's looking at me, kind of like a lot of people look at me, going, what the heck is this guy talking about? Like, what the heck is a Cookie Opus? I never even heard of Carvel. So I decided to get out my phone and show him one of their old commercials, especially since I really wanted to have him hear the guy who used to narrate those commercials, which was actually the owner of the chain, Tom Carvel, who had a voice. Well, I think the best way that you can describe his voice is someone who gargles with broken glass and cigarette butts. So he sounds like, at your participating Carvel ice cream stores, be sure to get your cake of either Cookie Puss or Fudgy the Whale. And just in time for St. Patrick's Day, we have Cookie Opus. But the first half of the commercial I showed Eric happened to be Cookie Puss talking and sounding like Judge Doom at the end of Who Framed Roger Rabbit with that really high-pitched voice. And then you factor in that Cookie Puss is this googly-eyed thing. Really don't know exactly what it is, but it was all enough to really traumatize Eric, probably give him nightmares for the rest of the week. Well, then again, you know what? After all the times he's tried to take the mickey out of me, that's payback, man. Speaking of nostalgia, taking me back to the late 80s and early 90s in that game, one of the players for Embry-Riddle, Keely Myrie, she had one of the most unexpected walk-up songs I've ever heard from any player. She stepped up to the plate, too. I still can't believe this one. Milli Vanilli's Blame It on the Rain. First off, I'm just surprised that a 19-year-old would even know who Milli Vanilli is, much less want them for a walk-up song. I mean, they're not even singers. They're lip syncers. Heck, as much as I rip on Taylor Swift, at least she can actually sing. I mean, her songs are assembly line conformist crud, but at least she can actually sing them. And I suggested another walk-up song, like something like, Laser Shooting Dinosaur by Angus McSix. And you're probably thinking I'm joking about it, but no, that is an actual song. In fact, Emma Almodoba, last year's CalPAC Player of the Year, last year's CalPAC batting champ, who unfortunately suffered a season-ending lower body injury. Well, she's sitting in the booth now. She's doing she's doing PA for the games. So she looked up the song on her phone, and lo and behold, it sounded like she actually liked it and said she may use that for one of her workout songs. And then I told her about the Unicorn Invasion of Dundee by Gloryhammer, and I think she has another song for her workout repertoire. Of course, as much as I diss Milli Vanilli as a walk-up song, Myri did go 2 for 3 with an RBI in Game 2, and she did have a walk-off home run in Game 2 versus Mount Mercy in that doubleheader Monday. So I guess if a song by a couple of lip syncers from the late 80s can pump you up like that, more power to you, I guess. Don't mess with what's bringing you success. But if anyone else wants to use Laser Shooting Dinosaur as a walk-up song, be my guest, because it's a crazy banger song, and the music video to it is totally insane. Another one that would be a really, really awesome walk-up song. I mean, if you want something to pump you up to the point, to just really, really pump you up, Sabaton's Winged Hussars, a song about the Polish cavalry, how they charged down from the hills to rout the Ottoman army and end the siege of Vienna in 1683. And of course, it's got that one powerful chorus, and the Winged Hussars arrived, coming down the mountainside. Now, if that song doesn't make you want to smash a ball all the way to I-17, I don't know what will. Anyway, folks, 928-541-1016, number to call here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup. Again, 928-541-1016. And, well, folks, along with Tri-City Sports Roundup here today on KYCA, if you go over to our sports station, The Team, 1450 AM, KNOT, today and tomorrow, we've got a ton of games for you from the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Today, starting at 9 a.m., we've got Purdue versus McNeese State. Who would have thought they'd get this far? But, man, they did the total upset on Clemson the other day. So kudos to McNeese State. And that's one of the things I love about the tournament is you get these schools that like 95, 96% of the population has never even heard of, and they can go really far in the tournament. Anyway, starting at 9 today on 1450 AM, The Team, we got Purdue versus McNeese. Then, actually, you heard it on Town Hall News, St. John's versus Arkansas. We got that one today. We also got Drake versus Texas Tech, and we finish off with UCLA versus Tennessee. Then tomorrow, we have UConn versus Florida, and again, that'll start at 9 a.m. Baylor versus Duke, St. Mary's versus Alabama, and yes, we will have this one, Oregon versus the U of A. Boy, an old Pac-12 rematch there for the national tournament. So that is all going to be taking place all this weekend on The Team, 1450 AM, KNOT, our sports station. By the way, folks, speaking of national tournaments, the NJCAA has their national tournament going on, and Pima College, they are involved in it. Of course, Pima College, that is the new home for former Bradshaw Mountain boys basketball player Mason Hunt. And unfortunately, Mason and Pima will not be competing for a JUCO national tournament. Last night in the Final Four, Parkland defeated Pima 95-74. Mason Hunt with 10 points and 6 rebounds. Still, great season by Pima and great season by Mason Hunt, who became the ACCAC Division II Freshman of the Year. Ex-Bradshaw player Mason Hunt doing a great job. Anyway, break time here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup. We'll be back with more right after this. We are back here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup. John Rust with you today. And no in-studio guests. You know, it is spring break, so a lot of people, both athletes and coaches, they're scattered all about doing whatever fun and wonderful things they have planned for spring break. And, well, those who aren't on spring break are actually out of town or involved in games of their own. But we do have one local coach. He is calling into us today, and he's going to give us an update on how things are going with the Embry-Riddle outdoor track team, and that is head coach Chris Bray. He joins us on the phone right now. Hey, Chris, good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning, John. Great to talk with you.
Well, Coach, one thing I wanted to ask, again, it is spring break, and I know some coaches, they may have an issue with they're going along with their season, and then all of a sudden, right in the middle of the season, boom, you got a week off. Your athletes are all over the place, going on vacation or whatever. For coaches like you, is there any concern about a break right in the middle of the season where, hey, these guys might slack off in their workouts, or they might come back maybe not the sharpest and ready to go in competition, or what?
Yeah, we sometimes worry a little bit about that, but I tell you what, John, the athletes I work with, they want to be good. So when I give them, like I assigned them 2 workouts over spring break, one on a Tuesday and one on a Thursday, I have gotten the best pictures from Zion National Park and from Arches National Park. These kids are up on the entire team's up on a tour up in Utah, and they're doing their workouts in the national parks. I've got pictures of them. A great app that we use is called Strava, and Strava is like I get to see exactly where they ran, when they ran, how fast they ran. So there's no getting out of the workouts, definitely, but they're doing them and they're having so much fun. So let's just say the break for them has been a welcome reprieve from some of the track workouts we've done.
Well, you're talking about how they're going around the national parks. I wonder if any of them are going to go to Bryce Canyon National Park, because I was there several years ago, and I remember I think Bryce is, gorgeous scenery, but I think Bryce is something like 9,000 feet above sea level. I remember, I would walk maybe 20, 30 yards, and I'd already be out of breath. So you want to talk about a heck of a high-altitude workout for your crew, that would be it.
Actually, the funny part is they did their Tuesday workout at Bryce, and they said they were over 8,000 feet. And they asked how much slower are they supposed to run because it was really hurting them.
Well, I can imagine that, but I'll tell you what, not much hurting Embry-Riddle track this season, especially for the women. In fact, the ladies had a pretty good performance recently at the Irwin Invitational at Point Loma in San Diego. Zoe Tizard and Mia Kemp doing a great job. Zoe came in second in the 3,000 steeplechase. Mia was third in the 5,000-meter run. So just talk about their performances there and how you feel both those girls have been doing this season.
Oh, they've been doing great. Talking about Zoe first, because the steeplechase came first. She went 11:19, which is her best opener. Last year she was good, but she's starting off the year just really strong. She led for over half the race, and it's one of the things, if the listeners don't know what the steeplechase is, it's 3,000-meter race, 7.5 laps. 28, you go over 4 barriers and 1 water jump per lap. So there's 28 barriers, 7 water jumps. It's a great, fun race to watch because as the race goes on, you get more tired and more tired and more tired. And she was hanging in there. She missed qualifying for nationals by about 4 seconds. So that's a great opener. So she did great. Mia Kemp, freshman from Australia, she has just gotten better and better and better with every race. She went 18:11 on her 5K, and that puts her at number 5 all-time on the Embry-Riddle all-time list. And she just went after it. She, for listeners that don't, 18:11 for a 5K is 5:51 per mile for 3.1 miles. So she's just been doing great. But yeah, both of those young ladies started us off with a bang for the racing.
And I want to get back to the steeplechase because obviously we don't have steeplechase in high school track and field, at least not in Arizona. It might be different in some other states. I don't know. So when you get your runners into track season and you're telling them, hey, I need some people to do the steeplechase, and I'm sure probably most, if not all of them, have never even done it. How do you get people to volunteer for it? Are there like Are most of the runners like, I don't know if I want to do that? Or when they hear what the steeplechase involves, it's like, ooh, that sounds really challenging. Sign me up for that, coach.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, John, the steeplechase, once you watch it on the track once, and you'll see people going into, because the water jump you run, like on the guys, it's a 3-foot tall barrier, and there's 4 of the standard barriers like that. They're not hurdles. These are actually big, giant chunks of wood. They're built up so you can step on them, but we get to the water jump, you'll see guys pushing off the water jump, landing in the water, falling backwards, being submerged. It's hilarious, but when you see how hard it is and how much fun it is, it's literally, they're like, hey, can I try that? I happen to have been a steeplechaser in college, and I was better than average, so when I tell them, I'm like, hey, we don't have the equipment to train on it, but trust me, we will make you good. Zoe was an All-American in the steeplechase last year as a freshman. So she was 8th in the nation for NAI as a freshman last year. So we know we can train it, but once they do it once, they love it. So it's a great race to watch as well.
And then, of course, let's go over to the men's side. I was talking about one of our former local athletes, Mason Hunt from Bradshaw Mountain High School. Had a great season for Pima College basketball, making it to the Final Four last night. But another former high school local athlete, Dylan Eisner, who ran over at Chino Valley. And it's kind of funny because he had like a so-so cross-country track career over at Chino Valley. He comes over to Embry-Riddle, and he's just lighting it up for you. In fact, he lit it up so much that a couple weeks ago, you guys were at the Oxy Distance Carnival out in California, and he won the 10,000-meter race. So it looks like Dylan just keeps getting better and better for you out there.
Yeah. Dylan is a champ. That kid came in, and I'm like, so you want to run? And he's like, yeah. And I looked at his high school times. I was like, do you like running? Or do you work at running? Do you try? And he is a workhorse. That kid, it's like if you tell him he can't do it, then it's just like, oh, I guess I'll have to go do it then. So yeah, he did. He went out at the Oxy meet. He went 31:16. So again, for your listeners that don't know, 10,000 meters on the track is 25 laps on the track. And Dylan went out and just nailed it from the start. So about 200 meters into a 10,000 meter race, nobody was running with him. The only thing he could do is lap people and to chase them down to have someone to go after. So he did that pretty much all on his own and was only 18 seconds from qualifying for nationals. So the next time he runs it, if we just get him some good competition, he'll have someone to at least work with, and he should definitely make nationals. He made nationals last year in the 10,000, doing it all by himself again. But every year, nationals keeps getting tougher and tougher to get to because he tightened down those times. But yeah, Dylan is the kid that you want on your team. He's just great attitude, great work ethic. I wish Mark Metz over I'm glad Mark Metz over at Chino Valley didn't get the most out of him because he probably would have gone to a D1 school someplace.
In fact, I was going to say, I think I even mentioned this last year to you. It's Dylan Eisner just seems to be one of those guys where if you look up the term late bloomer in the dictionary, Dylan's picture is right next to it.
Yeah. Yes, most definitely. And I still think he's got more in the tank. So I think he doesn't realize it, but he has got more to go. And when we just stick with smart training, he just keeps getting better and better and better. So he is still not tapped out, I'll tell you that.
Okay. And, of course, you got a few other meets coming up here. In fact, next Friday, you're in San Marcos, California. You got the Mangrum Invitational. and then you take nearly a month off. And then on April 17th and 18th, you got the Brian Clay Invitational. So those sound like two pretty big invitationals, and hopefully we'll see some Embry-Riddle folks get some qualifying times for nationals there.
Yeah, those are our two. Those are our two biggest races of the year, and as we work forward, we just kind of fine tune everything for the athletes, and they get quicker and quicker. So we're definitely looking forward to both Cal State San Marcos and that Brian Clay meet. That's a huge invitational. I mean, there's going to be 96 heats of the 1,500 meters just at the Brian Clay meet. So it's crazy how big that's going to be.
All right. Well, Coach Chris Bray from the Embry-Riddle track team, we want to thank you very much for joining us here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup and giving everyone a little more insight on how things are going with Embry-Riddle track. I know track and field maybe isn't the sport that gets a lot of spotlight, but certainly a lot of great athletes up there at Embry-Riddle who've had a lot of success over the years, and we hope for more continued success for you and the Eagles and the Lady Eagles as you push on through to the conference meet and then hopefully the national invite.
Yeah, thanks, John. We really appreciate what you guys do for the athletes. So keep doing what you're doing.
You got it, Coach. You have yourself a good one.
Hey, thank you.
All right. Well, folks, we're coming up to a break here on Tri-City Sports Roundup. But before we go to break, as always, it's time to see who shined over the past 7 days as we present the Tri-City Sports Roundup 3 Stars of the Week. Starting with the ladies, our number 3 star is Keely Myrie of the Embry-Riddle softball team. She had a walk-off home run in the Lady Eagles' 11-10 victory over Mount Mercy Monday. The number 2 star is Kinsey Murphy of the Chino Valley softball team. She fanned 16 in the Lady Cougars' 5-0 loss to Camp Verde Thursday. And our number 1 star of the week is Autumn Salusi of the Embry-Riddle softball team. She drove in 6 runs in the Lady Eagles doubleheader sweep of Benedictine Mesa Wednesday. Now for the guys, our number 3 star is Dylan Lockwood of the Bradshaw Mountain baseball team. He drove in 3 runs in the Bears' 4-3 win over Lakewood Tuesday. The number 2 star is Justin Sherrington of the Yavapai College baseball team. He went 5 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs scored in the Rough Riders' 15-8 win over the Langley Blaze Tuesday. And our number 1 star of the week is Michael Colasano of the Chino Valley track and field team. He won the pole vault at the Small Schools Invitational last Saturday. So congratulations to our 3 stars of the week. We're coming up here to a break. When we come back, we're going to switch gears. We're going to talk some baseball. We've got the new head coach of the Prescott baseball team, Jason Hutchins. So we'll talk to him and probably gear you up for the upcoming Prescott Bradshaw back-to-back games we got coming up soon here. So that'll be on the other side of the break. We'll be back right after this. We are back here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup. John Rust with you here on this Saturday morning. And let's go and talk a little baseball here, especially with Prescott High School baseball, as they are getting ready to dive fully into Grand Canyon region play. In fact, they've got the rivalry matchup coming up soon. March 31st, they are at Bradshaw Mountain. Then April 2nd, they host Bradshaw Mountain. Always love those rivalry games here. So we're going to talk to their new coach, Jason Hutchins. He's on the phone with us right now. Coach Hutchins, good morning, and thanks for joining us here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup.
Good morning, John. Thanks for the invitation.
You got it. Well, since you are the newbie here for Prescott baseball, maybe a lot of people aren't too familiar with you. So before we dive into the team, if you could give everyone a little background on yourself and what you did before you came to Badgerland.
Oh, geez. I've been coaching a while. I've spent several years down at Camp Verde High School in Gilbert, coaching football and baseball there. Got to learn from Coach Dukes, who's a phenomenal coach, and when he retired, I moved on, and I went back to Apache Junction, where I grew up and got to play. So it's kind of neat to be able to coach on the field that I played on. And circumstances chased me away from there, so I'm up here in Prescott now.
Okay. And, well, for the Prescott baseball team, obviously a bit of a rough start for you guys as you lost 3 of your first 4 games of the season. Then all of a sudden things seem to turn around for you, and it goes back to that Deer Valley game, a little back and forth there, but you guys pulled it out on a walk-off win. So just tell us how much that win meant to you and the rest of the team.
Oh, it was a great win, and it was a great team win, and I think we learned. I think we walked 9 guys in that game, and I think we learned a valuable lesson there that, that game was a lot closer than it probably needed to be because we didn't take care of business on the mound. So we learn from our mistakes and we move on.
Okay. And, well, you certainly moved on after that because you drove halfway across the state over last weekend. I think you guys were one of the few teams that were actually in action last week because the winter storm that we had come through pretty much squelched a whole bunch of games. But you were able to go over to Bullhead City, get your game in with Mojave, and yikes, stripes. You showed absolutely no mercy to the Thunderbirds in that one. 13-0 and 15-0 wins in that doubleheader. But I think what really impressed me looking at the box score, writing up my recap of that, is you'd expect in blowout games like that, 1 or 2 guys would have massive days, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs or something like that. It really wasn't like that for Prescott in either game. It just seemed like everyone went up there. They scratched out 1 RBI or 2 RBIs, and, of course, by the end of the game, well, scratching out all those RBIs added up to massive wins.
Yeah, well, we played exactly the type of baseball that we preach, that the coaching staff and I preach. We're unselfish. We are not swinging from the fence. We're driving line drives, opposite gaps, and just doing our job, moving runners over, scoring them when they get in the scoring position. And it clicked last weekend. Everybody did their job, and they did it perfectly, and the results showed.
Mm-hmm. And also, along with the hitting, you also got some really good pitching there. Obviously, since you hung a couple bagels on the board, Travis Gates had a good game for you in game 1. Then in the second game, you had William Horn and Matt Hepperly. They teamed up for a no-hitter. Okay, it was a 3-inning no-hitter because the mercy rule kicked in. Still, no-hitter's a no-hitter. So just talk about their pitching performances there against Mojave.
Yeah, all of them were outstanding, and we really we didn't walk as many guys. I think we had 9 walks against Deer Valley. We only had 5 in 2 games against Mojave, and then we proceeded to pick 4 of those 5 guys off. So always helps when you give them a free base if you can take it right back away from them. But they settled in and they threw a lot of strikes, and they were pretty dominating last weekend.
Yeah. And, of course, some of the other guys who've been doing a really good job for you so far this season. You talked about Travis Gates, not only on the mound, but also at the plate. And speaking of at the plate, Cooper Magnet, Lucas Tobin, they've been having pretty good games for you. Actually, Cooper, I think, missed a few games for you because Prescott basketball made it all the way up to the Final Four. But credit to Cooper, as soon as he got done with basketball, he turned in his basketball jersey for a baseball uniform and a bat, and he just went out on the field and just started cranking out hits. So really didn't need much of an adjustment period going from the hardwood to the diamond.
Yeah, Coop, he works really hard, and even during basketball season, he still will get over to the indoor facility and hit whenever he can, and he'll come out here on Saturdays and take ground balls with his dad, and he's just a really, really hardworking kid, and it doesn't surprise me a bit that he didn't miss a beat going from basketball to baseball because he prepared himself for it.
Mm-hmm. And I mentioned Luke Tobin. He's having a really good season, driven in 8 RBIs so far. In fact, I believe he's the one who got the game-winning RBI for you against Deer Valley. And, of course, Adrian Sandiford, I think we all expected him to have a pretty good season for you both at the plate and on the mound. So just talk about the way those two guys are delivering for you.
Yeah, well, I got super lucky stepping into a very talented team loaded with seniors, and Adrian and Lucas are two of them, and Tobin is he's that quiet, unassuming kid. He's a great student. He's a great kid. He does everything perfectly. He's never too up. He's never too down. He just stays even keeled. Does exactly what the coaches ask him of him, and he does it well. Adrian's a bulldog. He's fun to watch pitch. He gets so intense, and he's so excited to get out there and get going and show everybody what he's got. He's going to have a great season for us, and if he keeps hitting like he is, he's going to have a great year.
Yeah. And I think another one who is just really on an upward trend right now is Nick Martin. This guy's just a sophomore, but he's already come up with some big clutch hits for you so far in the young season.
Yeah, Nick is our lone sophomore, and he sure isn't playing like it right now. He's been hitting so well, and we went down to the tournament a few weeks ago, and Nick was near the bottom of the lineup, and I bumped him up to number 2, and he has shined in that spot. He's just a gritty kid. He finds a way to get on base, finds a way to get across the home plate when he gets there, and he really has surprised me quite a bit. He's got a ton of talent, and it's going to be fun to have him for the next couple of years.
Yeah. And, of course, as I mentioned before, the schools are all on spring break this week, and I posed this question to Chris Bray, the Embry-Riddle track coach. You guys just started finding your stride. You had that great walk-off win against Deer Valley. You absolutely blew out Mojave in that doubleheader. And then right when you're hitting your stride, boom, you got an entire week off. Were you a little bummed out that you guys had a week off from competition just as things were really starting to click for you?
Yeah, spring break's always hard, and as long as I've been doing this, I've never quite found the right formula. I hopefully here with as many seniors as we have, they'll understand and they'll be able to get their way through the break and get back on track on Monday against Salafria. But in the past, I've given them all the boys a week off, and then we come back and we look rusty, and then I've played games as scheduled, and families take vacations and they're out of town, and we're missing a couple of guys. So it doesn't seem to be any real great answer on the coaching side of it. We just do what we got to do. We gave them a few days off up here, and we got back to work yesterday, and we got practice here in about an hour. So this year we're going to go do a little 50-50. We're going to give them some time off and get them some practice time.
Okay. And, of course, that practice really going to come in handy. You mentioned Monday, you take on Agua Fria down at Agua Fria. But then you have a couple of really big region games coming up. Tuesday and Thursday, you take on Coconino. And then March 31st and April 2nd, you got Bradshaw Mountain. And Bradshaw's been doing a really good job so far. They've had some impressive games down at that Greenway Festival. So just your thoughts of taking on Coconino and Bradshaw and what you expect out of those contests.
Well, they're going to be tough, and I know our region is pretty solid, and we're not going to have any freebies as we get into it. I know that I know Bradshaw's, judging from the numbers, they've been throwing really well. Their pitchers aren't throwing a lot of pitches every inning. Their walk to strikeout ratio, walk to ball to strike ratio is really good. It looks like they've been really, really solid on the mound. So we're going to have to be pretty dialed in if we're going to get some wins here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah. And, well, as I mentioned, Coach, this is your first season at the helm of Prescott baseball. So talk about what the process was like for you getting to know your players, familiarizing yourself with your players, and vice versa, just them getting used to you and your coaching style.
Honestly, it's been a pretty smooth transition, and again, I credit that to having so many seniors. They're in their last season of their high school career. They just want things to go smoothly. They want to have a good time. They want to win baseball games, and I think that opens them up to being receptive to a new coach. I got lucky. I stepped into a good job with a good team that's had success, that has a lot of seniors, that has a lot of talent. And my focus coming up here is just to not mess it up. I'm not here making giant changes. Everything doesn't have to be my way. They've been very successful in the past, and with a few tweaks, we're going to get over that hump and win some playoff games this year.
All right. Well, Hutchins, the new head coach for Prescott baseball team, want to thank you very much for joining us here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup this morning. And, Coach, best of luck to you and the Prescott baseball team. And, of course, just like all the other teams around here, we'll be keeping track of you on our KYCA Sports Reports.
Well, thank you very much for having me this morning.
You got it. Have a good one, Coach.
Thank you.
All right. Well, hey, speaking of Prescott High School, Prescott Sports, want to give you folks this reminder. Next Saturday, 1 p.m. at the Ruth Street Theater on the campus of Prescott High School, they will have the Celebration of Life for local legend Cal Cortez. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I believe we're going to be streaming that on KYCA.info. Again, that'll be Saturday, 1 p.m. over at the Ruth Street Theater, Celebration of Life for Cal Cortez. Of course, former baseball and football coach over at Prescott High School, and also longtime referee all over the state of Arizona. And, did PA for him. In fact, the press box at the Prescott baseball field named after Cal Cortez. So certainly contributed a lot to our community, to Prescott High School in particular. So we will have that celebration of life Saturday, March 29th, 1 p.m. Also, next Saturday, hey, indoor football is back in the Tri-City area. The Northern Arizona Wranglers will have their season opener over at the Findlay Toyota Center. They'll be taking on Fisher's Freight. Why does that sound more like the name of a company than it does a football team? But apparently there is a town outside of Indianapolis called Fishers, and for whatever reason they decided to call themselves the Freight. Folks, I don't know. I didn't come up with the name of the team. I'm just reporting on it. Anyway, they'll be in town. They'll be taking on the Northern Arizona Wranglers. So that'll be 6:05 with the kickoff there as the 50-yard indoor war continues here in the Tri-City area. Also, if you want to find out how things are going for the Wranglers, get a little inside look at the world of indoor football, we did have a morning report with Northern Arizona Wranglers head coach Ron James, and you can check that out. Go to KYCA.info, hit archive, and then hit morning report, and you can listen to what I had with Ron James, and it looks like he has put together a pretty impressive team for this coming season. In fact, one of the guys we'll probably be looking forward to is Jadicus Bonds out of Hampton University. He was an FCS All-American player for them. In his career, he had 2,731 receiving yards, 34 touchdowns. Also, a really good punt returner they signed, and Isaac Ross out of UMass. He was an all-independent second-team selection as a punt returner. And also about 7 guys coming back from last year's team. And looks like we have a guy on the line here. Really quick, we're going to go to Steve from PV. Steve, you got about a minute here. What do you want to say?
Hey, not a problem. Hi, John. Hey, for all the listeners, I'm not really into sports at all, but I love listening to John Russ because he brings a humanity to sports that goes beyond the game. The other reason I wanted to call is you were talking earlier about Carvel ice cream. I grew up in Los Angeles, and even as a dumb kid in the 1970s, I was thinking to myself, okay, I get the idea that this guy owns Carvel ice cream. He's the boss. He's the big cheese. But he really shouldn't be doing promos for his company with a voice like that.
But it was memorable, man. What can I tell you? Steve, I'm sorry to cut you off here, but we're about ready to wrap things up. But thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it.
John, watch your DM. I'm going to DM you something funny, okay? Bye.
You got it. Have a good one. Okay, folks, that's going to do it. Remember, go over to the Team 1450 AM today and tomorrow, all day and into the evening. We've got NCAA National Tournament action for you, folks. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Roundup. We'll see you again next week.